Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Hotline League. It is a banger special edition episode because we have a very special guest on tonight. But first, let me introduce my constant co-host, Marcus Zimmerman. Marcus, how are you doing?
Great. My Mondays are now mostly 12-hour days. I come in for the dive at 9 o'clock, and then the show ends at 9 o'clock. Now, technically, there's an hour lunch break in there, as well as like roughly 2 hours when I get home to like make dinner and usually answer Slacks. Like we're doing something with heat maps this week. We're trying to see if we can get it ready in time. So I've been talking. I actually just got a new message from him about how big his Excel file is going to be. So that's what I'm up to. Mondays are kind of a big day now.
Well, it's going to be even longer than a 12-hour day because after me bugging you for a month to get me my invoice,
I'm doing it right now.
My invoice.
I have to go from 268 to 284. Do you remember what my rate was? Now that
you want me to just drop that into the show?
Well, just give me a ratio for my old rate. It's half, right?
No, it's
didn't we say?
I don't think it's as low as I think it's about $50 more than half.
Okay. $50 more than half sounds good.
Okay. I don't know what you perceive to be the other number that you're adding half to. So I'm gonna find out when I get this invoice how much money I'm paying.
Then you might have to correct it.
Yeah. Could we maybe not wait until I told Mark, all right, Mark, with the 2023 financial situation that I find myself in, you can no longer send me an invoice 7 months after we've been doing work, or at least with 7 months worth of work on it. You now need to send it 30 days after the quarter has ended. So you can still send me quarterly invoices, but they need to send, or you can now send me quarterly invoices, which is still really generous, but they need to be at least by the end of the month after. And Mark is, despite my pestering, really close.
Well, you said tonight's the deadline.
I know.
Do tomorrow. That's my founding belief system, actually.
Yeah, and Mark has been generous to scale his rate to the current financial revenue.
I love it so much. I would do this show for free.
Really?
Didn't I do the show for free when we were starting out?
I think so. We didn't have an audience or any revenue at the time, so we were both doing it for free. But yeah.
Man, this new pay rate sucks.
Uh-oh.
I just did the math on how much you're going to pay me. It's
well, you're
way
also
less
not
than
doing
before.
blame games for me anymore, and you were making a lot because you were doing blame game and Hotline League every week.
And that was great to just dunk you for 5 figures every quarter. It felt great.
Yeah. Well,
it's now definitely not 5 figures.
I'm not getting donked for 5 figures anymore, that's for sure. All right. Let's speaking of, shout out to a bunch of the people who just subbed. Lady Empire, thank you for the bits. Skyju, thank you for the 5 gifted. Zemelci and Jorban, thank you for the subs. And also, thank you to Alienware for sponsoring the show. They're still here. We love them. We got Cubby here. Cubby, what's been going on with you lately? Welcome to the show as our special guest for the evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Not much. I've just been trying to keep my head down. My season ends here in 10 days. So, trying to make the most of it while we still have some League of Legends to cover for Challengers League. Because, we don't get opportunity, obviously, to help out with international events or other stuff. So, I've just been grinding it out. It's been fun.
So what happens to you? How much longer is playoffs for you?
So August 9th, you can watch the finals for Challengers League live at the Riot Games Arena. Toast, their team made it. And rumor is we're trying to get Toast to actually use the co-stream setup that is built into the LCS studios. So if you're a Toast fan, you can show up. It's $10. That's been keeping busy. Congrats to EG.
Wait, you can use the co-streaming setup for $10? That's a steal.
Yeah, I mean, you can get in the studio and at least see him use the co-streaming setup for $10. I think that's gonna be reserved for him though. So
there's definitely security. Don't try it.
Gotcha.
Probably.
Gotcha.
Probably. Definitely.
Yeah. So, Yeah, I mean that's what's been up. It's been fun though. I really love this time of year. Like this is my favorite time of year for the league. Like watching all the playoffs go down to see like who makes worlds. NA's ahead of the schedule this year, but like this is a really exciting time. Because like there are less games overall, so you feel like you get to watch everything. And everyone's on a similar patch usually. It's a lot of fun.
So what happens to you after August 9th? Are you just out of work until January?
You know, it's funny because I've actually been kind of tossing this around a little bit, at least when it comes to League of Legends. Yeah, pretty much. I'm going to do some content on my own. I have a podcast where I actually, I pay my co-host in the Uber Eats order for dinner with Rafa and Josh. We'll probably keep on doing those.
Dude, Mark, that sounds like a pretty good deal. Maybe we should switch to that pay model.
I'm suddenly going to be a lot hungrier.
But we'll see. I have a marketing degree. I've been thinking about like offering up some services to teams if they're interested. I have a rate in mind I would work for if anyone wanted to do it 9 to 5. Or
did I cut out? Or did Cubby cut out? Why
no,
can't
Cubby
I hear
did
anyone?
not cut out.
Why can't I hear anyone for a second?
I don't know.
That's fucking weird. I can hear you now. Cubby, are you live?
Yeah. How's the new headset?
Great, apparently. I don't know if that was headset.
Sure, it was the internet blipping. It's not the headset. The headset's great. Sorry, continue, Cubby.
No, so we'll see. My goal is to still pursue casting, but just with how the season kind of panned out this time around, it's gonna be a really long off season for us. Obviously, like Worlds, there'll be a lot of stuff to do. But I'm probably gonna have to find some contract work or part-time work of some sort. So hoping to stay in the space or use the marketing degree.
If anyone is looking for a marketing guy or a caster or something, Cubby is available for work for the next 5 months.
Have you ever casted marketing? Like you're just sitting behind some people in an office setting as they go through and do whatever marketers do?
Oh God, it's like they're scheduling the tweet, editing the graphic. Game planning, brainstorming, who knows? That'd be probably the worst job in the world,
All right. Well, glad to hear that you've got at least a couple of weeks of fun ahead of you, and hopefully cool stuff on the horizon for you afterwards. But let's talk, Mark, a little bit, as we always do, about what we've been watching this week. Cubby, feel free to jump in here and anything if you want. I will say yesterday I saw Barbenheimer.
So I Barbenheimered on Tuesday, so I don't think I updated my Barbenheimer. Has everyone Barbenheimered now?
No, you did. I thought you did. You had seen one movie. Or when did we talk about it? I thought you talked about it on the show.
We walked on Wednesday
night,
okay,
with Drew, and Drew was talking about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cubby, have you seen Barbenheimer?
I have not yet. I need to see them.
Okay.
Okay, well, the only important thing, Travis, is which one do you think is better?
Oppenheimer.
Or did you like more?
I liked Oppenheimer more, and I thought it was better. And I know you disagree with this.
Vaguely. I don't really have a strong feeling either way. I think I enjoyed Barbie more.
I'm surprised you did not like Oppenheimer more, because growing up, I had like a fascination with scientists and all of that stuff. I know you have a big fascination with science, and I realized that they did not like go super hard into that. But I found the figures, the scientists themselves, to be sometimes just as interesting as the science, and so that's, I think, one part of the reason I liked Oppenheimer.
I mean, I guess like my favorite movie was when Albert Einstein was walking with Girdle, and they just like had that quick like, oh yeah, that guy's not eating, and then I got really sad because he dies of starvation because he got super paranoid.
Spoilers.
That's not a spoiler. That's a life lesson. That's a history fact. And the guy is not like you literally see the back of this dude's head. He's not even in the movie.
No, he turns around. You see him.
Do you see his face? I don't think you see his face. I think Albert Einstein is
they introduce.
That's my buddy.
He introduces him or whatever. They shake hands. Maybe you just got back from the restroom at that time.
I don't think so. You see Einstein for sure.
You see Girdle as well.
Okay. Anyways,
thank you, Ellis, for the shout out in the chat.
Point is, they didn't do much sciencing in it, less than I thought, because I know that fucking Nolan's is a science nerd too, so I thought there would be a little bit more, and they just didn't really get into it. Which, like, fair enough. I don't, it is a movie at the end of the day. I don't think they're going to do like a full lecture, but they didn't even like really cover. And this is maybe a little spoilers, but they didn't really cover the Trinity progress from a scientific or even engineering level. Really,
Yeah, it wasn't like,
you know?
oh no, we figured this part out or something like that. You're saying it was
Yeah,
just sort
it
of
was like just kind of this background thing where every now and then he threw a marble in a jar, and then they dealt with like other problems around the project, but never really the project itself. Which,
Sure.
like, and then again, this is not huge spoilers, but like the communism plot line, I understand historically big deal. Movie wise, my God, did that take up a lot of the time.
I was completely fine with it because I think it has a lot to do with the payoff towards the end and all that, and so I felt
But
like it was
the
good.
payoff at the end to me was so flat.
All right. I don't want to go too
Well,
far.
I'm just saying, Christopher Nolan loves his twist, and it felt like they tried to do a twist there, and it was like, what? It was just like, duh. So yeah, I don't know. The movie's about Oppenheimer, not the bomb. Yeah, I fucking know that. It's called Oppenheimer. I knew that he tried to poison his teacher. You know, like I know about Oppenheimer. I'm just saying, like, I think there are interesting parts of the Trinity project that they could have talked about that they didn't, to focus on other things. And I think that they spent too much time in a 3-hour runtime movie. I just think that the timing could have been used a little bit better in some areas because some things did not need as much attention as they were given, or like scenes that seemed really big in the moment did not end up mattering at all.
The other thing I read is that the book that it's based off of, which is something Prometheus, whatever, sort of a twist with that.
Yeah.
This is one of the closest adaptations of a book ever in terms of like dialogue is just constantly like basically the one of the reviewers who I read that had read the book as well was basically like, yeah, it just is like no page is changed other than like maybe two little things, and like everything makes it in. And so I feel like Nolan was just like, I want this book to be a movie, and just hardcore did it, right? And the book is obviously his biography, so it's not going to focus as much on like the progress of Trinity or the science side of it or whatever.
Yeah. And I think the things that did really well for the fact that it is a 3-hour movie, the pace is really good for like 75% of it. It just moves so quickly. I like the visualizations of some things that they did in the beginning of the movie with some of like the scientific concepts just being like kind of weird as like Oppenheimer's like a little bit unhinged as he's learning all this stuff. I think there was a lot of stuff that was good. Whatever. I don't know. I thought it was good. I liked it a lot. For people who think I'm being like super critical of it, I'm just saying like for me it wasn't like a perfect movie or like great. It was just good. It was like both of them to me were just good. They're both good movies. I like both of them.
Yeah,
they're both like 7s to me.
The way I describe it is, I feel like I'm going to think about Oppenheimer for a lot longer than I'll think about Barbie, but I would be way more likely to watch Barbie again in the future if somebody was like, let's watch a movie tonight.
I think I told Ashley about like a lot of like the little nuggets that they like snuck in there, but we didn't like have a ton to debate. I think there were a couple interesting theme things that Oppenheimer did, and then I think we talked a lot more about Barbie, but I don't think any I'm going to talk about again. And I was talking to another person who was like, Barbenheimer was such a cool event, but I think 5 years from now we're going to look back and be like, remember Barbenheimer, but we're not going to rewatch either of the movies. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, what a funny event in time. Anyways.
Yeah. Well,
I'm excited to see him.
Anyway, Are you going to watch them, Cubby?
Oh yeah, both of them. I'm waiting to find the time.
If you want to save some money, by the way, get AMC stubs, even if it's just for 1 month.
Oh my God, I'm such a fucking troll for how long it took me to get this goddamn service. I have wasted hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
Well, especially if you live in California where the tickets are really expensive, because like a ticket here is like what, $15 or $16, and then you can get AMC. I wish that the show was sponsored by AMC stubs. It's not, but you can get AMC stubs for like $25, and it allows you to see up to 3 movies every week. And so if you're like, I'm going to watch 2 movies this month, literally just get AMC stubs and watch the 2 movies and then cancel it right afterwards if you have nothing else.
People say you can't get less than 3 months, but like whatever. There's like watch TMNT when that comes out.
Can you not get less than 3 months?
Banger. That's what someone just said in chat. Who knows? But like,
I feel like in California, you can. I feel like I got it for 1 month.
If you watch 2 movies a month, it's worth it, and that's, at least for me, not very hard to do. I watch tons of movies. My favorite movie that I've seen recently, I actually watched this just last night, is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. That was really good. If you want to watch something on streaming services.
All right. Anyway, let's get into the show. So, what do we got to talk about this week in League of Legends esports? Well, the playoffs occurred, and we have 2 matches that happened, and we have victors and losers from both. But we also have 4 matches coming up this weekend, and guess what, everybody? I did a whole video today that I released. If you have not been watching the LCS because you're like, yo, fuck those Riot people, okay? They took LCS and they put it on the weekend or the weekdays, not the weekends, and also they got rid of Dash. Well, guess what? One of those things is changing this week, and it's not the Dash part. They've got LCS on Saturday and Sunday. You can watch the playoffs, and so if you really want to stick it to them about the Dash thing, then just don't watch it all. But if you really want to stick it to them about in general, go watch on Saturday and Sunday, even if you can't watch Thursday and Friday, because you can actually consume it, and then the viewership will be higher. And then when I go interview them, which is probably going to happen next week, by the way, I will be able to say, wow, isn't it interesting that how on Saturday and Sunday viewership was twice as high what it was on Thursday? And then they'll say, yeah, but that was Dig TSM.
And the other one was C9 EG.
Yeah. And then I'll say, okay, well, I can't. There's nothing. I can't do this anymore. It's over. It's when I go cover Val. But other than that,
Travis will smash an Alienware laptop in front of them.
Tracy from Golden Guardians on the chat says, good luck. I had the convo with them, and they are dying on the hill. So I'm excited for that conversation next week in the interview. John Needham said we'll change if we have to, or if we need to, and apparently
clearly they don't need to.
They don't need to.
That's the conclusion, and we have some really promising data to show to you, Travis.
Well, whatever. We'll get to that. Watch on the weekend, please. The more people that watch on the weekend, the more hilarious it's going to be when I do that interview. Arnold, thank you for Prime in the chat. All right, so we've got that this weekend. Dig TSM, 100 Thieves TL, Saturday and Sunday. We got EG, Cloud9, and Energy Golden Guardians, respectively, so we can talk about all that. Immortals is already dropping people from their team and their roster. I think a lot of people were like, oh my god, Solo's out, but I'm pretty sure on the database it said that he was out as soon as Immortals was out. Like, it's a new thing that they've started to do on the database where you can now apparently end a contract the moment that the
game's
the team gets
over,
out. Yeah. So we can talk about that. Let's see. I'm looking at this week in the League of Legends subreddit to see if there's any other spicy topics. Folks in the chat, let me know if we're forgetting anything. Arena's out. It's been received really well. I know it's not directly LCS related, but like
LEC had their summer finals in case you missed it, because everyone missed it.
Everyone missed it. But Mark, we're so fucking wrong and stupid whenever you and I both suggest that maybe we don't want the LEC format.
I think, and I'll say it again because people always, I don't think understand what I'm saying. There are parts of the format I like a lot, and there are parts that I do not.
Wait.
And I think
Go ahead.
The championship points are very dumb, and the way that they use them in particular is extra dumb. And I have never liked them, and this extra tournament at the end of the year is whack, and there's a couple whack things about it. I like stages. I like the idea of having like this kind of like evolving split. Maybe even 3 splits I don't know. But my God, to have your finals have literally no impact.
Have no impact, be in the studio, they're about to go have their very first... Because it's not even LEC, right? It's like the European Championships.
EMEA.
EMEA Championships. Like, I don't know. I need to write down a note for my interview next week to make sure that I ask them, like, hey, we're still getting 2 events next year, right? All right. But one thing we did forget about is All Pro.
Oh yeah, All Pro came out.
And so that's actually a big thing we can talk about. First team All-Pro, Licorice, Blabber, Jojo Pyun, Berserker, and Huhi. We can talk about everybody else as well. So folks need to call in, talk about that, give us your thoughts, etc., etc. Cubby, what else are we forgetting? I need to make sure that you're more involved in the show, because sometimes Mark and I just go back and forth, and then 15 minutes pass, and then you're like, challengers.
Oh, I mean, that I was about to go, challengers, disguised again. You can see him in the LCS studio next Wednesday, August 9th. But I'm honestly really excited for the LCS playoffs this week. I feel like we have some good matchups, and it's going to be a lot of games. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I am excited as well. We'll see how things go. I mean, we start to get elimination matches, which are where things get spooky.
On the All Pro thing, we can talk about this a little bit. Cubby, since you didn't get to vote, but we talked about it a little bit last time. What are your biggest disagreements with the All Pro?
I gotta go look at the list because
Let me link it to you. I'll put it in the Skype.
Yeah,
Skype.
First team I was aligned because we talked through that.
Oops, that's not All Pro.
I feel like that greatly hurts the chances, unfortunately, of the River MVP run, which is a bit of a bummer.
It does, yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I still had JoJo for my MVP vote. I think that's going to be the most interesting one. I'm also kind of curious to see who gets most improved player. I would actually make the case for Licorice, which sounds weird, but I don't know what you think about that, Mark. Because like, isn't it over the year?
It's not super well defined,
yeah.
You know, because like, is it from last year through this year, or is it just within this year? It wasn't immediately clear to me in the wording, and maybe I should have read it closer, but I don't remember. I think I put Licorice, with the understanding that he has improved the most this year.
For me, biggest snubs, I didn't agree with Summit's second team or Fudge third team. I think I had like Revenge Summit in there. And I thought Revenge deserved the shout over Fudge. I know C9's on a better team, but I didn't think Fudge had his best split. Well, hopefully he steps up big time in playoffs as he always does. I have full confidence in him in that. And then Eminez's third team was really weird to me actually. I had Palafox. So that was kind of awkward.
Can I just say that this All Pro conversation is great, but if your way of finding out about All Pro and seeing if it was available was to go to lolesports.com, you would not be able to. No, if you were in North America, Mark, just go type lolesports.com into your browser right now.
I'll see what I see.
Look at the latest
It's just funny
content.
because I'm just laughing because the way you did it in Skype, which you didn't see, is you're like, oh, I'll link it in Skype, and then you just like linked some random part of LoL Esports, I assume with the intention of not making it clear who the All Pros were.
No, that was not my intention. I had switched over to look at the bracket because we had switched over.
Oh, that was an actual mistake. Okay.
But
I thought you were trolling about how it wasn't there.
No. It's just it's so fucking wild. Like you could go to lolesports.com right now, and like it says latest content, which I've now decided. Like it is very clear to me.
Just click news.
No, it's
this
very clear.
This always happens. You hate the front page, but you click news. It's right there.
Yeah, but nobody does that, Mark. Nobody does that.
The front page is a time capsule.
The front page is whatever you want the front page to be. It's not a thing. The front page is a mythical land that you don't worry about.
It says latest content. Everybody goes to the front page. You scroll down. That's how I would always find the most recent article. But what is clear to me is that because for a while I just thought that like people were not being good about this. They clearly have an automated system that has broken. And so lolesports.com has been broken since at some point after June 9th. Because the last time that it got updated was with the summer split primer and ticketing information. We are now close to 2 months later, and they still have not either noticed or fixed this.
It could also be option 3, which is whoever is uploading the articles does not know they need to tag it for front page somehow on upload. But like for reference, you would think that grab your tickets for the knockout stage of Worlds 2023 in Korea, which is the most recent news article. That feels like a front page post you want.
Or buy tickets to summer finals. That seems like it would be. Or I guess, wait, maybe that's still on here? Summer split primer and ticketing information. Is that for summer split? Okay, yeah, so they do. It ends with, to check out the full LCS summer split schedule, head over to lolesports.com.
But in the news section, there is a more up-to-date one specifically about playoff tickets, which is not on the front page.
Yes, but if you wanted to go to summer finals, okay, here we go. General admission tickets to LCS summer split matches. Yeah, so I don't even think that there's a post on the front page about like being able to go buy tickets to see finals and Newark.
Well, that's because the front page post one was posted at the start of the split, and it was about just the split. Whereas
Right.
the one that came out more recently about playoffs includes finals, but that one's
But
not
that's
on the
my
front
point,
page.
right?
Yeah.
Like, aren't
Yeah,
you? You're
I'm in a
trying
line.
to
I'm
drive
aligned.
sales to LCS semifinals. I part of me, the practical part of me, hopes this gets fixed before my interview with them next week, which is currently scheduled. It's penciled in. We'll see. If a part of me also hopes it doesn't get fixed, so I could just be like, hey guys, let me load up lollysports.com on my tablet here. Can you show me what the latest piece of content was from?
If I was trying to buy
That's
tickets,
just mean.
where would I click on the front
No, you
page?
say it's mean, Cubby, but like, come on. I'm not like it is.
I mean,
it is
even-
really difficult because I think, look, on this show, Mark and I have conversations with callers who's like the start of their take presumes Riot no longer cares about the LCS. I go do interviews with these people where they're like, yeah, we really care about the LCS. And then you go to the front page of lollysports.com. That shit's not updated. It hasn't been in 2 months. Like,
I will say, if you like think about any other company or like line of work, if their website isn't updated, you're just like, what the hell is this, right? So that
You would think
it is.
LCS
I'm not saying it's not bad,
ended.
but you know.
especially when you're trying to make money. Like, if you don't want to put every article up there, fair enough. You know, I don't care about fans. Me neither. Money, I care about. I want people to go to my events. You want that on the front page.
Don't worry, Riot. They're gonna make their own, you know, like Twitch to host all their games, and it's gonna be fine. That website will update perfectly every time. You know, it's the savior.
Mark, do you think that this is what, like, Jackie was updating the front page of lollysports.com, and after she left, there was nobody
I think
left
that's
to
what
do it?
commissioners do, right?
Yeah.
They just sit there and update websites.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
it's just so fucking crazy, man. This thing is at the seams. It's breaking at the seams. Please,
I forget what I was going to say now.
let's talk. Let's. Oh, you were asking Cubby about.
The All Pro stuff. Yeah. Anything else about, like you said, M&S third team? Not sure about most improved. There was a bit of controversy, a little bit. This was one of the least controversial ones. It felt like there was not too much disagreement with the actual winners. One of the only pieces of controversy was that the broadcast team all drank from the same Kool-Aid apparently and had very similar ballots. And then Travis bragged about how he didn't drink from the Kool-Aid, but he was also putting Doublelift in there like a fucking troll. So, you know,
you say about control. Reddit felt like Reddit, who are super critical. They were like, it's actually a reasonable argument for Doublelift. They weren't like, I would do it, but people were like, it's okay.
it's like mildly defendable, but it was like literally you and that's it? Or was there one other person?
What is more? I'm going to make a poll in the chat. What is more defendable? Doublelift third or the broadcast all suffering from groupthink?
Broadcast all suffering from groupthink.
Really?
I don't think so.
That's more defendable. I don't know how you get Doublelift third.
Oh, you're saying it's more defendable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more defendable. I mean, I had the same exact, like, I was synced up with you guys, at least on first team and second team, for the most part, outside of top lane. And then third team, I had Yawn, but Unforgiven's fine. Like, I honestly, that's a coin flip. So, again, like, I don't know how you came up with Doublelift from that. I don't think Doublelift, like, by any means played bad, but, yeah, I don't know.
Doublelift third
more
was a
defendable?
war crime take.
I don't know.
Doublelift third is Mega Troll. Travis is getting roasted in Twitch chat. Doublelift was not
Guys.
top 3.
I need to go find where's the hang on. I need to go to the news tab and then scroll down to find.
Oh my
through
god,
all
you have
this
to
block-
click twice.
I
Through his
no,
carpal
it's not
tunnel.
just the news
It's
tab. I have to
like,
scroll
really
through a bunch
painful.
of TikTok shorts or YouTube shorts to find this shit.
Are you okay? Do you need a back massage or something?
No, it's just so fucking bad, man. Like I don't know.
So here's the thing I'll say about the groupthink while Travis looks for whatever point he's trying to make. There's 3 explanations for it. Well, there's 4 if you count the combination of all 3, but there's 3 separate explanations for it. Number 1, we all talk too much and share too many ideas, and that is a problem. And I agree, that's something that you don't want. You want people to have independent thought and different opinions. So maybe that's why we talk too much. However, my counter argument to that would be, I don't feel like I talk to my colleagues any more or less than normal. And this is the first and only time this has happened where we have been this unanimous. So maybe this time we did end up talking more or something. Option number 2 is that it's pure randomness. if you look at the amount of times that we have voted on All Pro and the amount of times we've been this aligned, this is the first time. We've done this around 16-ish times, statistically. People don't like randomness. They try and assign value to everything, but maybe it's just pure fucking randomness. In option 3, it was the right thing. This was largely the right ballot to cast. It's not very, people haven't been too contesting. There's just a difference between Blabber and River, and you can debate that and whatnot. But that's the third option, is that this is more or less, if you use your eyes, what you would get. Discord had very similar ones to us, and we didn't base it off the Discord thing, but Discord was pretty aligned when we pulled them. So maybe it's just the right answer. Or maybe it's a combination of all 4, which is we probably do talk too much, and maybe a couple coin flips went one way or the other to make it closer, and it was one where there wasn't really that much contention. So who knows?
I liked your guys' ballot better than what the final ballot was anyway.
It's actually, it's not that crazy whenever you hear it, and then whenever you just see like the grid.
When you see that, like, oh my god, you guys are fucking sheep.
The grid is just so funny. And you know what? I just want to shout out Joshua Jet Leishman for breaking breaking through the groupthink to make one alternate change to his
That's
ballot.
only for first team. To be
this
clear,
is
that's
truly a free thinker right here.
That's first team. But go look at second team. Look, we got some riches in there from Kobe. Kobe's a big rich simp. We got... Hey, you zoomed in instead of zoomed out, you ass. Scroll over. Look, there's more differences. We got Unforgiven in there. We got some fudges, some riches, top lane, some differences. Look, there's an Insanity second team in there.
Oh my god,
and
you
then
guys
third
are
team
getting
gets even crazier.
Crazy up in here.
Wow, it's crazy.
Honestly, the only one that I didn't align with you guys on was probably Pioshik third jungle. So I'm kind of curious, like, why you guys all ended up with Pioshik as third. I know that TL's early games were good.
Listen to Cubby argue for his ability to join the broadcast team next year. He's like, I mean, I agreed with all of you guys.
He's not agreeing.
He's already ready. He's ready.
You don't get here if you don't agree.
He said the only change he had was Piosik.
That's one too many. Get in line, Cubby.
I don't think, like, especially like when Jat was arguing Fudge first, like if I see Fudge first and I think Jat's argument for that was like, oh, he plays fights well, like he affects the map really well in mid game, which I would agree with, but putting Fudge on first team, then also having Pioshik on third team, I'm like, wait a minute, like this has to be for 2 different reasons. Because like again, TL and mid game are still just like, oh boy, it's like, I mean, Jat was the one who was like, I hate this team, and that was honestly the funniest moment of like the year from the broadcast. I think just watching them throw.
The Jat Fudge thing just shows that it's actually just a sample size where if you ask 10 people to all put it in the same drop down over and over and over and over again, one of them will randomly fuck up. And that's how we got Jat Fudge.
He was like trying to click licorice. He thought of the wrong food item. He clicked fudge. His brain short circuited.
He looked at a piece of chocolate on his plate.
Yeah, he was like, maybe I do want fudge instead of licorice tonight.
The next great NA LCS top liner is on the ladder, and his name is Brownie. Confirmed.
No.
Oh my god.
It's a food.
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
I mean, it was weird, the voting. I won't disagree that it looks fucking weird, but I don't know what happened. I don't feel like we like group thinked really hard and all like sat down, cast our ballots together.
I'm not like actually mad, or I don't actually. It's just funny to look at the sheet. It is like
it's really weird looking.
And I think the only side conversation is basically like you would hope that for the sake of discussion on the broadcast that the analysts would be able to like take opposing viewpoints or would have disagreeing views or something like that. And so it is kind of like maybe it is good they don't talk about the game anymore. All right, anyway, let's talk about some calls. We'll talk to you all about your takes in this part of the show. We've been taking too much time on the beginning of this.
We've been having fun. Sorry, we won't do that again.
Yeah, no fun allowed. Let's get into calls. We don't have any. I guess Mark is going to go through takes right now, so I will do the spiel while he looks at takes.
Spiel it up.
First off, this is a call-in show. Thank you for joining the call-in show. You call in by joining Discord. You can join discord.gg/Travis. Feel free to join in general, by the way, even if you're not going to call in, because we have like a magic chat, and there's people in the general chat who are usually very aggressive and mean, so I don't suggest you stay there. But a lot of the secondary channels are nice. People are nice there, so go there. Anyway, you put your take into either the pleb topics or subtopics chat, depending on if you are a sub to the Twitch channel or not. And Mark we'll pull you into the waiting room if he likes your take. If you join the waiting room, please make sure that you don't mute your headset, because if Mark joins and then he's like trying to talk to you and you can't hear him, then you lose your spot on the show. So please make sure you do that. We are looking for takes rather than questions usually. I think if you have a really compelling question, Mark can get baited into taking it, but we don't normally want somebody to just call in and be like, hey, I want to know what you guys think about this. We are looking more to have a conversation with somebody who's going to put forward a take. So feel free to put those into the pleb topics subtopics chat. That is the show.
All right, I'll go get someone.
Yeah, okay. Off he goes. Shout out to... Oh, we got a ton of people. Thank you, too. Zemelci, Jorban, Hipster Dog, Imon Dorgs, America Vespucci, Swede Be Good gifted 2 subs, Cherry Lace, and T1 Chronicler gifted to LS. Oh, Mark's still gone. So Chris Bro, Arnold, I Miss Infinite Crisis, who I met in person at the LCS last Thursday. That was really cool. Tamaine, Rennie the Croc, That Phil Kid, ProStar, Profit Guru, Feed or Die, and Sweet Be Good gifted to Tricky Walrus. We got Jay here. Jay, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York City.
New York City. You gonna go to finals?
Probably not.
Why?
Because I've been touring around because I'm a musician, so I've been touring around. So.
Oh, cool. What do you play?
Yeah. I'm currently like singing a little bit, and then I play bass guitar, cello. So
are you only in New York right now because you're on tour, or you're saying you won't be in New York because you'll be on tour?
I will not be in New York because I'm on tour. I'm from New York, so. Yeah.
Can't you like play some sort of event around the show?
Yeah, I guess. But
great, glad we figured it out. Anyway, what's your take?
I think that Wildturtle is extremely underappreciated now, even though he was kind of the guy. The fact that he's played the most games in LCS history is really insane, and I think longevity should definitely be put up in a pedestal to some extent. Also, TSM Wildturtle just feels right, and no matter how, quote, old he is in the space, like, something about it makes it just correct, in my view. And there was a discussion, I don't know if it was on broadcast or like some stream LS was on, about good Baron Steel players and bad Baron Steel players, and I think Wildturtle needs to be in that discussion, especially on Jinx. So yeah, I just want to show my appreciation to him a little bit.
I also want to shout out the interview I did with Wildturtle a couple weeks ago, where he talked about how he wants to keep playing until he has a really good international performance and how dedicated he is and all that stuff. I feel like it's easy because Turtle's kind of the type of guy who does not get the spotlight all the time to appreciate this dude, but I thought that interview was really fun and just informative to hear about a dude that's just been quietly very dedicated to playing League of Legends and competing for a long time.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And like I said, something about Wildturtle just feels right in the LCS, even though he had that time like away from TSM, and say what you want about his gameplay, I feel like this split, there was a resurgence, and he's shown those flashes of like that old player who used to flash over the base on Tristana just because he was bored. And I think if you really don't believe that the LCS is going to be the greatest gameplay in the world, at least we'll make it fun. So I think that's like super like good for the LCS, despite, you know, us broadcasting during like Wednesday, Thursday. Like that's another conversation though.
Mark, why don't you share your opinion while I go turn off the AC so that Kobe doesn't freeze?
Yeah, I feel like Wildturtle, like you said, longevity, been here a long time. I think that move to weekdays is great for fans who've been here for a long time, so they can keep watching Turtle while they have children that they need to attend to on the weekends. You know, I think those two line up quite well. I do like the point about longevity in League of Legends and how, because the game changes so much, it's really cool to see someone stick around for so long. AD carry is probably the role where it's easiest to do that, but it is mechanically intensive, and like not getting injured or something is its own like little interesting thing. And so yeah, it is, I think, noteworthy that the game volume, it's easy to be like, oh well, he has the most kills because he's played the most games, but also like, how the fuck did he play so many games? You know, like I do think it's cool for people who've been around as long as he has.
I'm trying to think of like a traditional sports comparison for you to make about Turtle, because yeah, like he has been around for a while, but like He was a great player. He was never elite because like he was always kind of in the shadow of Double Lift and Sneaky. And like I think the fact that he's still competing now is like it's cool. I also know that like from speaking with his teammates, I know that TSM Challengers, Draku was the support. He was really bummed when Turtle got moved up because he really liked playing with Turtle. Like Turtle's someone that is like has a good reputation for being well liked on teams, and definitely someone that like really tries to like play better. Honestly, Kevin Love's an okay comparison.
I was
Whoever
just
put
about
that
to
in the
say
chat.
Kevin Love.
Yeah, it's actually an okay comparison because like he was never the greatest player, but like he is someone that I think has like figured out his role. And I do think that like Turtle this split, I feel like he was somewhat bolstered up by how the team played and Jinx. Not to say that like he played bad by any means, but I think I credit the TSM for that read on Jinx earlier on and how they played. I actually thought it was a really good read for them, and Turtle played it well. I will also mention that Jinx has like used to have one of the most ridiculous executes in the game that was bugged on objectives, so like everyone stole stuff on Jinx. But yeah, it definitely feels like Turtle's like has a history of that. I don't know. He's someone that like just really does feel like he is a part of LCS history, and I don't think that he was ever the best at his role, but it's really hard to. I agree that like he has been a staple, and it's really tough to be a staple in gaming where things are really volatile. And Turtle himself kind of went through ebbs and flows as well to kind of get back to where he is now. So happy that he was able to have a good split with TSM, where it's likely TSM's last split in the LCS. And yeah, if Turtle wants to keep on competing, like it's hard not to root for him given what he's done in the past, right?
Yeah, and I guess another like one last thing I'd like to say about Turtle is, and this is how I feel about TSM this split, where even though it might be their last split in the LCS, I don't agree with the take that they've just given up on the LCS, because especially with what we can hear from their coaching staff, in like certain capacities, and also the way they play, it's very clear to me that they have an identity of like what they want to do, and even if they make the wrong choice, they're all making the wrong choice. It's not like one person's making the wrong choice and it makes everything off kilter. And I think that identity is super important because even in terms of the storyline of the LCS, I can't explain the story of the LCS without Wildturtle. You know what I mean? And I think it's really cool how TSM has this singular identity and Wildturtle is back, when the identity of the LCS at one point was like Sneaky and Double Lift and Wildturtle. And I think that's just something that's really cool to talk about.
Yeah, I don't think at any point like we've ever questioned, the players or coaches giving up on TSM. It just really feels like TSM has given up on trying to fill up the building because they hollowed that thing out pretty good. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Revan and the players and all that stuff, they care. I think if people are disappointed or frustrated or the Zale tweet, all that stuff, it's more about the organization. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard. I will say, Jay, it is hard to have TSM say we're leaving the LCS and then also have the argument of they've not given up on the LCS. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely like this weird balancing act.
Yeah.
Personally, I've been watching LPL playoffs quite a bit, and I think they have a great chance to win Worlds in LPL. That's really where things are going to work out for them,
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Jay, for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to the next caller?
I just want to shout out all my friends, Jin and Travis. They helped me keep like sane during my time touring, because the travel is stressful. I didn't realize this was like that big of a thing, because this was my first like full year of touring and traveling and doing all of that. So
I'm glad I could
shout
be
out
there
to them.
for you.
And shout out to Alienware. I almost forgot, but I didn't. Don't worry, Travis.
No, you're good. Thank you. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I will say, so back when I was in high school, I played trombone, and our jazz director, he was a published artist. And, like if he had a gig in the Midwest, he was like one of the first guys called for tenor sax. And he used to take us when we went on trips. He called it the Mr. W Poverty Reality Tour. And it was like, what happens to be like a music artist? It's like, it's really tough to make it. It's like, look at everyone playing music here on, like, you have to like try and make it really hard. Which is certainly something. So good for that guy for touring. It's really tough to do with music. Not bad.
All right. We've got Zemelci here. Zemelci, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from London.
All right.
Still London.
Wow.
What would you like to discuss on the show?
Okay, so my take is that Revenge showed this week that EG isn't just a one-trick pony team, and he was right to call people out in his interview afterwards. If people keep sleeping on the non-JoJo parts of EG, then it'll be at their peril going forward in playoffs.
All right. So you're saying people are spending too much time thinking about JoJo, and that's going to be an issue for them in playoffs.
Yeah, so it's like this take isn't to say that JoJo isn't good, because I think that he should win MVP for LCS this split. Like, I think that he's just a straight up cracked player. That said, I think that a lot of people talk about EG as this. Well, if JoJo isn't 1v9ing every game, then this team is just doomed. And you can see it also in how teams play against EG in terms of, oh well, we just have to shut down JoJo, and that's why he has highest opponent jungle proximity and an opponent support proximity. But I think that Revenge showed in this series and has showed in the past that he has a good pool of carry top laners, and that if you flagrantly disrespect him and you give him the room, he can and will punish, and I think has the room to grow even further in that direction. And then I think Unforgiven is also very a very solid team fighting ADC. And so I just think that there's a lot of strength to this team, that even if JoJo isn't going nuclear, if he's all you focus on, then yeah, it won't end well for you.
Counterpoint. While JoJo does have teammates, are there any games that EG loses where JoJo, or framed another way, is there any games that EG wins where JoJo was playing poorly?
Hard to say when he never plays poorly.
No, he plays poorly.
No,
and
I
then
know.
they lose those games. But are there any games where he plays poorly and they win? I'm trying to think of any, actually. Like, the Yone game, he had a good lane phase, but then the Yone pick was pretty troll there. He gets abused, they lose. Game 1, he gets abused with the Lucian pick, and they lose. Game 5, Game 2, and Game 3, he was playing well. Maybe not the best player in the world, or on the team even. I think the Aatrox was pretty gnarly. I think even the Jax game, to be fair, Revenge fell down quite a bit far, and it was kills that got him back into the game. And then he just got a lot of kills. I think he played well, but that was not an 18-kill Jax murdering everyone until the end of the game when he got the Penta and the Quadra. But JoJo got his own Quadra before that as well, and he was 6-1 and 2. It was just Revenge ended up getting more kills. Both of them were playing well. So my point with this is, were there any games where JoJo got shut down, but then EG won anyways?
I mean, I wouldn't say in the playoff series necessarily, but I think
even regular season.
I think regular season it's difficult because their biggest loss streak was the week 5 where they just floundered slightly and immediately then followed with the Shaden swap. And it's a difficult thing where this is a bit of a cop-out answer, but I don't think we've seen enough of them with Shaden to see how that plays out long term. But I think that there is it's the difference between sure, they haven't won when JoJo's going 0-10, but also one of the things that you would one of the things that we've consistently looked for out of JoJo is not going 0-10. And so I think the thing that matters for EG isn't Revenge needs to be able to carry a game where JoJo's just running it down repeatedly, and it more needs to be a thing of Revenge or Unforgiven needs to be able to carry in a situation where JoJo is doing decently, he has a 5 CS lead, but he's not actually done that much beyond get some push out, and maybe he helped bot get several turret plates, so now Unforgiven has a meaningful gold lead, but JoJo isn't the carry of this game. In that situation, you need Revenge and Unforgiven to be able to take it across the line when they're given that, and I think they can, and I think that's a thing that's overlooked.
Mark,
yeah,
is Revenge not a second pony?
is JoJo first pony then?
Well, it's like a one-trick pony team, right? That's the take.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. I get it now. I was thinking just like straight racing, but yeah. No, I think Revenge is a second pony. Sure. I think him and Unforgiven. To the caller's point, I don't think JoJo needs to play absolutely insane like he was in the first round robin to win every game. I think JoJo can play okay, and the rest of the team can play well, and then they win those games. The framing of my question was such that it is still kind of JoJo's team to live or die by, because I don't think they can win if he doesn't play at least well. And that's why I framed it that way. It's like I think the goalpost has shifted, right? Like first round robin, it was like JoJo is legitimately the only threat on this team. Just camp him and you win. I think they've evolved a little bit since then, but I still think it's true that if you're going to target anyone, just target JoJo, because he's still the most important player on the team by a mile, and they don't win if he gets shut down. That seems true to me still. So I moved the goalposts to make my argument still right.
Cubby, do you agree with Mark?
I mean, part of me like wants to almost use like almost like an NBA like MVP.
No more
like,
sports
all-star,
analogies.
you
You're
know,
banned from
argument.
sports.
We don't
analogies for the
watch
rest of this
sports. What the
episode.
fuck did you just say? I don't even understand it.
I mean, there like in
Listen,
if
Jack,
you're gonna
we don't
talk
want any of
about-
that here.
if you're going to talk about someone who is, I think, unanimously going to be top 2 in MVP voting, like whether he gets first or second, like you can make your arguments, he's going to be top 2. I don't think there was ever going to be someone that's like, oh, you know what? Like if he doesn't step up, it's okay. Like I mean, sometimes like teams can be like that, but it really doesn't. I don't feel that way nearly as much with EG. I think the EG, like they are a decent team. I appreciate that. Like, hey, Revenge and Unforgiven, like we were talking about them maybe sneaking into all pro votes. I feel like that's, not because JoJo's playing really well. It's like those guys, they are pretty solid players in the league, right? But like JoJo is the guy. Like there's no question about that. So I think that like moving forward, yeah, if EG wants to do anything, then he has to be the guy. He has to go out there and like win his teams these games, because that's what he's going to do. And I don't want to like really, give him any leniency there. And now I think that how I would approach EG, like if I'm going to play against them, I would actually target the people around JoJo in draft and then target JoJo in game. Now I don't think giving him like Ahri every game was great, but hey, TSM, to be fair, they did have a really good idea of how to beat Ahri in that one game when they had the Lucian. So like that is a way, like, yeah, they took something where he knew he was going to play that in draft, and then actually like were able to, turn it around for their advantage. So that is a way that like you can try to focus on JoJo. But yeah, I still think that like he is the guy, and if EG wants to like try and hold the trophy at the end of the tournament, I have no idea how they can do that without JoJo playing bad. Like if JoJo plays bad, there's no chance that EG gets to hold that trophy. He has to be good. He has to keep on playing well.
Does this feel? I would love to ask Revenge if this feels better. Because before he was like, for all those people saying, what was his exact quote, Travis? I don't know if you.
He said, "People aren't talking about me enough."
No, the "fuck you" quote. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, I guess you don't watch the broadcast.
No, I do watch the broadcast, as evidenced by the fact that I just quoted something directly he said in an interview after the broadcast. And sometimes I miss parts of the broadcast, Mark, because I have to go fucking outside and interview somebody.
Well, in an interview after the games ended, when he was picking up his Player of the Week award, he said something along the lines of like, if you think we are just a one-trick team or something, you can go fuck yourself, or something like that.
That's cool. I don't consider them a one-trick team. It's just like...
Well, that's
yeah,
what I was wondering what the
bad,
specific
they're gonna
wording is. I'm going to go look for
Yeah.
the clip.
I also clipped it, so I'm looking for the clip. But like that interview was what directly inspired this take.
I figured, and that's why I was like, I wonder if Revenge would no longer be mad if I said what I said versus this one.
I will say that I think Revenge also, like, Revenge had a monster series. He clutched the hell up. I think that the Herald fight in that game 1 saved him. Like, JoJo went down and Revenge did clutch up. But I don't think he's going to put up another series like that, given the numbers. And also, Haunter is one of the weaker top laners in the league. So, yeah, I want to see if Revenge can, like, continue to step up. A good competition.
All right, here, I'm going to play the quote.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the quote.
He would definitely tell me to still go fuck
Team
myself.
can do it, and everyone who keeps saying, "Oh, if we camp JoJo and play him down, this team's gonna lose," can actually go fuck themselves.
Okay, there we go. We played it. We got it on stream. I know you guys didn't hear it, but all right. So yeah, I think he would tell you to go fuck yourself.
I love how you can hear Raz's laugh first in the studio.
He yells from like halfway across the arena.
Yeah, you can hear Raz laugh so hard. It's really funny.
I would say, counterpoint revenge. The 2 games that you guys lost, JoJo got camped and shut down. And the games that you won, that did not happen.
Yeah, but also Revenge like went sicko mode too. So I think he can go talk some shit if he wants. I'm always
no.
for that.
I mean, absolutely, I prefer him to go talk his shit.
Yeah.
I think if I was in the debate with him, though, I would raise the point that you still did not win a game where JoJo got shut down. The games that you won, JoJo still played very well. I think Revenge played better in those games, which is why he got the Player of the Series. But I don't know if they disprove the idea that Camp JoJo win game is wrong. Because the Yone game, he got ahead, but then they baited a really dumb fight mid, and they killed JoJo a second time, and then they picked him in a side lane, and they started falling behind, and the game plan fell apart.
I mean, can I counterpoint in the?
Yeah.
I feel like there's one I feel like there's the thing that you're overlooking statistically there is that you're looking for scenarios in which EG win from a position where they're already disadvantaged, like in a game where JoJo is already dying, then they're doing worse. So sure, it didn't happen in 2 games, but and it also didn't happen as much in regular season. But if we're not looking at regular season as much here, but I think shouldn't you also inherently expect it to happen less, in the same way that no matter how monster JoJo is, if Unforgiven has a game where he just runs it down on Kai'Sa, then you should still expect EG to lose?
Well, it's definitely true that it's harder to win when one of your players is playing bad, but I think they have won games where the other people have played bad.
So
that was why I framed the question that way. Is I can definitely think of games where the bot lane was not doing super hot and then they won it anyways, or top was whatever. I think Revenge just played well this split for what it's worth. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just nitpicking for fun.
We're kind of going over the same thing over and over again. So I want to finish this by saying, somebody in chat was like, "Oh yeah, he beat Hanser, a 50-year-old player, won an achievement," and I was like, "Oh, how old is Hanser compared to Faker?" And they're 1 year apart. But when I searched up Hanser, which I suggest everybody does on Google right now, the image that Google supplies for his picture at the top is just very unflattering.
Oh.
Google is not helping him.
Oh,
I did not get that picture as my
picture.
first one, Travis.
You didn't?
Dude, he's in good shape and not a bad looking dude. Why are they doing him like this?
Yeah, I don't.
No, that's not even in my first 2 rows when I search him.
No, I don't use
what is
Google
this?
image. Search just on.
I did
Google.
both. I first, and I didn't get that.
Try
and then I went to
Hanser
the
age.
next-
Try Hanser age. That's what I typed.
Hanser age.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you do get that. Ooh,
So I
what
guess-
the fuck, Google?
They're only saying that they're trying to demonstrate how old he is by using a photo where it looks like his hair is somewhat graying, and he's.
Did you see the
losing his
picture
mind.
that we used on the graphics from 2015
Yes.
when Hanser played the LCS
Dude,
for the first
that
time?
picture was. I cannot believe
It
that
doesn't
picture.
look like him at all. I'm like, that is not.
I
Hanser.
literally
Who the fuck is
turned
that?
to Drew sitting next to me, and I was like, "Who is that player that they're showing?" And he's like, "That's Hanser." For a while ago, somebody on the stream just said they did him dirty with that picture. It was so goofy. I wish we had that to show on stream, but we don't, unfortunately. But,
Yeah, it's hard to find that picture, but it is the lighting on him is so harsh and at such weird angles.
Yeah,
He
poor
just looks like a
Hanser
different.
just getting crushed by photographers left and right. Zemelci, thanks for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Shout out Alienware as always. Shout out shout out you guys. Shout out the forthcoming TGI Patreon, hopefully. If that does happen, then it would probably be one of the few things that would make me go and find whatever my Patreon login details are so I can hear Mark Z be forced to talk about Bungo Stray Dogs for my entertainment and Travis be like, what is an anime?
If it
Travis
doesn't
will
happen,
watch. There's an anime. There's a tier list where Travis will watch anime. If we hit enough, Travis will watch.
if
You're
it,
telling me that I can make him watch it? Oh,
Yep.
let's go.
if it
You're gonna
doesn't,
watch some based TV.
yeah, we need to figure out how many episodes I have to watch. If the Patreon doesn't happen, it's Mark's fault. That's all I'll say. All right. Thank you so much, Zemelci, for the call, and we will catch you next time.
Take care.
All right. Off. Oh wait, we're gonna take a quick break. Oh damn it.
Wait, was I? Am I
Yeah,
waiting?
yeah. So I said off, and then I realized the time, and I was like, let's take the break. All right, it's time to talk about Alienware. Alienware is awesome. Really appreciate everything that they do for us. I know you guys always hear us talk about it, but one thing I really do want to highlight is how wonderful it is whenever you all support me by going and tweeting about your purchases, letting them know that you purchased because of me. That's just a very, very fantastic thing. And I want to give you all a heads up that if any of you are going to QuakeCon, which is August 11th, Alienware will be there with their Alienware Mobile Lounge. So go check them out at QuakeCon. Really appreciate them. They are fantastic. They have amazing computers that have NVIDIA technology powering them. And it's just absolutely wonderful to have their technology for us. So thank you so much to Alienware for sponsoring the show. Again, please go check out their stuff at alienware.com/Travis. I say this URL every week in the hopes that people will remember it whenever they go to make their purchase. If you go through alienware.com/Travis, you hit that URL. It's very, very helpful. Sometimes ad block and stuff might break it. I don't know, but that's how we know, or they know, that you came in through me. So thank you so much to everyone who does support the show by purchasing Alienware products through alienware.com/Travis. All right. Mark has wandered off.
No, I'm back. I can hear you. I got this sick Alienware headset on that allows me to roam around and talk to Ashley.
What
I'm
is that
supposed
what
to
you were
be.
doing? You were having a conversation? When you wandered
she
away, I
woke
heard like
up
kitchen noises. Were you in the kitchen?
No, that was the cat food automatic dispenser just feeding these fat shits.
Oh, okay. Anyway, off Mark goes. By the way, Cubby, you're not available to play Magic this weekend, right?
This weekend actually might be a maybe. Is it Sunday?
It's probably Saturday.
Saturday?
Yeah, because we're playing Commander Masters. So.
Oh, we're talking about
okay.
Magic? I walked away for 2 seconds talking about Magic?
Yes, because whenever you leave, that's when I'm allowed to talk about it. I give you a whole fucking
allowed to
5
talk
minutes at the
about
start of the show for you to talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about. But sometimes it might be nice for me to talk about something that a lot of our audience is interested in.
We
Okay.
have our meeting on Wednesday. I'll find
We
out
should
what my
do a
response
poll.
is or the
Wait.
week after.
This will shut me up. If the poll is over 50%, they like Magic.
What? I don't know if we'd get 50% for anime.
Well, let's see which one's more popular.
I mean, I definitely think anime is more popular, but I don't think we should limit ourselves to only the most popular discussion topics.
I'm a populist at the end of the day. I'm a contrarian. I was talking to Raz about this. I'm a contrarian to contrarian, so I can be a populist. But I'm not actually. I don't enjoy the mainstream thing.
All right, caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Captain Turtleman. I'm calling from Muskegon, Michigan.
All right, Captain Turtleman, what do you want to talk about on the show?
Oh, Cubby, you remember me.
How can I not? It's Captain Turtleman.
Thank you. So, my take is that, and you're probably going to figure out here I'm a C9 fan, but I'm going to say C9 is going to 3-0 through playoffs again, except they're going to drop one game to Golden Guardians in the upper bracket finals. But that's mostly because they're going to be able to dodge NRG.
They'll only drop one game, you're saying?
Yeah.
Not like a match.
In the
but
upper
like
bracket finals, not in the actual grand finals. That'll be another 3-0.
So, and who will they 3-0 in finals?
In the grand finals?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Team Liquid.
Oh.
I have a good feeling about them turning it around. They just have a lot of talent on that team, and I feel like when it gets, they're on their deathbed here, right? So I feel like backs against the wall, Liquid gets a little bit scary.
All right, we'll take this 2 stages. The first one we'll talk about is Cloud9 only going to drop one game? And
I feel like the caller made his point worse about Cloud9 by predicting Team Liquid.
well, that was my fault. I bullied the caller into making a
Yeah, I
prediction
hadn't
there.
thought that far ahead in my defense.
Okay, well, you can pivot later if you need to, but it's like,
Okay.
Now I question you completely. Before I was like, maybe, and now I'm like, well, if he thinks this, and also thinks Team Liquid's making finals. I don't know. On the premise of Cloud9 3-0ing the whole way, it is possible. I do not think it will happen. I think Golden Guardians will definitely take a game against them. I even think it's very possible NRG takes a game against them this weekend.
Yeah.
I feel like the more you win, the harder it is to be.
You mean EG?
Yes, God, Energy's playing. All right, well then, to that point, if they play Energy at some point as well, I think Energy can take a game off them. But
Do you even watch the broadcast, Mark?
No, I don't, to be honest. I think even EG can take a game off them if they're playing well. I think that the more you win, it feels like the harder it is to keep dominating. I feel like a lot of runs, their final championship is often, it feels like their hardest in some ways. Like, specifically, I'm talking about in esports. I don't know any T-sports stuff, so don't even try and fucking tell me about any of those. Who cares? I'm talking about like Team Liquid's final one. They 3-0'd in 2018, but their 2019 rosters, which I think you could argue were more dominant in terms of skill, had harder fought series in those title runs. I feel like that was true for some of the TSM ones. So all this is to say, they're going for a three-peat. Everyone knows they're the big dogs. Everyone's played against these guys a bunch of times. You got this one. I think that they will be able to take games against them. And this C9 has not looked as dominant as the C9 from last spring. And even that lineup lost some games in playoffs.
I also think that, like, I think that, like, in this meta right now, too, it's actually pretty possible to win games from, like, both sides of draft. But like sometimes, like, we have had patches where it's like 70% blue side win rates. Like, you're just always going to drop some games. Like, the challenge is kind of like winning a red side game in the past. I think in a way that does help C9, but I do think that, like, C9, I mean, thinking of like the strength of their solo laners this split versus last split, it's different, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that I expect some of the teams to be able to take games off them. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a competitive run. And I'm really excited to actually see C9 versus Golden Guardians, because I think that this is the best chance that GG has to actually really overcome their own demons and actually topple C9. I'm curious to see if they can do that, because that is like the one team that GG is like the one team that's prevented GG from being the top dogs, right? I would argue that GG looked more dominant this split than C9 at points, but they just could not ever overtake C9, and that's why, like, we've just always kind of been like, all right, it's C9 then GG, right? C9 then GG. I think that, like, this is the best chance that GG has to actually beat him. I'm kind of curious what you think about that, Mark. I expect C9 to drop games in every series, frankly. I don't think they 3-0.
No, I think they'll drop games unless somehow they drop this whole series and go to losers and play like Dig or 100 Thieves or something.
Yeah, I agree, because I think ironically the league has leveled up, even though I feel like a lot of the changes that were made from spring to summer, a lot of people expected the league to not be as strong, especially relative to C9 and Golden Guardians, who didn't make changes. But I think it has, and so I think it's going to be a lot harder for them this time around. And so I do think they'll drop at least one.
I agree. I mean, your best teams in spring were a semi-dysfunctional FlyQuest, who was swapping supports in the middle of playoffs, and the Golden Guardians, who admittedly became good, but like leveled up throughout playoffs, where they play a full 5-game series versus 100 Thieves, and then Liquor starts playing counter picks and stuff like that. Whereas they've clearly gotten better with time. So I think EG is better than that FlyQuest was, and NRG and Team Liquid and all these teams are better than their spring versions.
I agree.
I feel like EG's kind of overrated. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say they're frauds.
Say it if you think it.
Why?
All right, they're overrated. They went to 5
Cloud9
games
calls them
against
frauds.
TSM, right?
You're a Cloud9 fan. Cloud9 thinks they're frauds. Just say they're frauds. Say it.
I said it. I'll say it again. They're frauds.
There you go.
Except for
Revenge.
Revenge, though. No, actually, like, low-key, I actually do think Revenge is really good. And it's cool seeing him kind of
What about JoJo? You think Cloud9's... Or I like Revenge a lot, but I think it's funny that you...
I do think JoJo is kind of overrated. I think he's very good, obviously, and it's great to see a North American mid laner popping off. I love that.
But there's no fucking way he deserves MVP over Blabber, am I right?
Mark, I love you, absolutely.
I might have voted
100% correct.
You might just don't check my ballot if you think that, if that
Oh
blabbermouth
yeah, no,
MVP.
no, I know it's okay. But that's just as a casual fan how I feel.
Yeah,
Am I a
I
casual
mean,
fan? I don't know. I watch a lot.
who cares about classifications? I think I appreciate the optimism around Cloud9. I think they're going to struggle more this split, and it says more about the rest of the league necessarily than them.
That's fair.
But
Maybe
we'll
we
see.
actually put up a fight at Worlds. Huh?
Uh,
Anybody?
We'll see.
What?
Are we
Do we have a
facing
Team
EU?
Liquid take, Mark, or should we just really quickly hit the Team Liquid argument that?
I think we had a Team Liquid take. I don't remember if I pulled them or not, but someone.
All right. Well,
was
maybe
talking
we
about
will.
Team
Then
Liquid.
we'll skip your Turtleman thing, but I think we already got your
That's
stuff
fine.
too.
I
Captain
think
Turtle.
we have a
wanna go
TL
into Team
take.
Liquid anyway.
All right.
Uh,
Oh, go ahead, Cubby.
I will say that just like to chip in with TL, the barometer of like teams improving. I actually think that TL like are a team that kept a lot of things similar and do legitimately look better than Spring, but they're in a very similar spot in standings and feel like pretty similar in power rankings. So I think that is a good barometer to be like, hey, like the league did level up, right? I feel like that actually is a good measuring stick in a way.
They agree.
All right. Thank you for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Yeah. Shout out you guys. Love the show. Shout out Alienware for helping support the show. And shout out to my boy Sinew, because he's the man.
Very good.
That's it. So
Thank you for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
see ya.
All right. All right. So now that Mark's gone, yeah. So this weekend we're really playing Commander Masters, which is the Commander draft.
Yeah.
And it is pricey because Wizards is pricing it pretty high, but it is pretty cool. So I did a preview event last Friday.
Ooh.
And I actually saved my prize packs. I have 2 of them. It doesn't come out until Friday technically, but
Okay.
I saved my prize. Oh, Yami's here. Yami, where are you calling from?
I'm from the DMV area. Sorry, I had to mute this because I was getting
from where?
Because you heard Magic the Gathering talk, even though the poll said no Magic the
What?
Gathering
We weren't
talk.
talking about that, Mark.
I voted yes on the poll. I was okay with.
All right,
Magic
well,
the
it was great
Gathering.
having you here, Yami,
You
but
know,
you gotta
I
go
stick
now.
around for the stream afterwards too,
Mark,
even though I don't play Magic.
we weren't talking about that. We were talking about this coming weekend and Cubby and I hanging out. Yami, where remind us where you're calling from?
DMV.
All right.
DMV?
DC, Maryland, Virginia area.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like an actual DMV. It's like, how long's the wait?
What do you want to talk about on the show?
I am calling. My take is that Golden Guardians will overperform Cloud9 at Worlds this year because they have a more well-rounded team. Their individual players, don't peak as high, but they have more lanes that they can play through, and I think that means that they will be able to adapt better to the Worlds meta, and that they have more opportunities to get ahead in games compared to C9, where if you're able to keep Berserker and Blabber from getting these crazy early game leads, they just kind of look lost. And we kind of saw that at MSI, where they just when their players who they're used to overperforming didn't overperformed, they just got dumpstered and didn't really have a way to get back into the game. Whereas Golden Guardians was able to kind of make these weird cheese plays with River getting picks in the river, or with or just taking bizarre kind of stranger fights. Yeah, I'm kind of rambling now, but
Question: do all 3 of us think Golden Guardians is going to Worlds?
Yeah.
I think Golden Guardians will be at Worlds.
Obviously, I was asking this crew because they didn't call in with a take that presumed they would be at Worlds. Mark, how do we feel about how Golden Guardians performed at MSI versus Cloud9? Because I do remember there was a point in time where it did feel like Golden Guardians was having a better showing, but I think that shifted later on in the tournament, if I recall.
I mean, some of their games versus their Eastern opponents were arguably closer than C9's, especially considering they beat BLG one game. I think C9 beat them in the actual head-to-head, so it's like debatable, you know. But it's like kind of like you're.
Yeah, I just meant
who,
like
who
outside
lost
of
better.
their,
Like I don't know. Yeah, it's like who cares, you know? Like who lost better? Like really depends on the draft, and like, I don't know what the Asian team they're playing against felt like doing to them. You know, like I don't know. It's whatever.
Well, I guess I'll just throw to Cubby then. What do you think? Do you think this Golden Guardians can? I mean, I know you laugh. I literally, my memory was that Golden Guardians did look a little better than Cloud9.
They beat BLG. C9 didn't beat anyone but GG. So yeah, you can make the case.
Cubby.
I think if the meta stays somewhat similar, because I think a big thing right now is that we can move, and when it's not like 2v2 bot, because if it is the
it's called
2v2 bot,
roaming.
yeah, like I think that Sven and Berserker are actually like a legitimately good bot lane. Like I feel good about sending that bot lane internationally. I feel like they're a decent chance to actually be competitive, right? But I think right now it's a lot about like moving out of bot lane. I think Hui does that really well. Like, that's why he is the first team All-Pro. And I think Stixay also manages that really well and doesn't get enough credit for actually how Stixay manages his support, oftentimes not being in his lane. So I think in a way, like that could set up a little bit better for GG. I feel like GG is playing that style better right now, but like it's really hard to tell like what picks are gonna be good and like where things are at the moment. And overall, like given history, I have a bit more faith in C9. I think C9 are probably our 1 seed, and with the changes to Worlds format, like the 1 seed is no longer the worst seed that you can get as like an NA team going to Worlds, because I don't know what the seeding is going to be, which is fun. But like, it used to be like in my opinion, you wanted to be the NA 3 seed, because then your odds of getting a really strong LPL or LCK 1 seed was the best for getting through, because then they 6-0 or 5-1 the group, and then you just try and sneak out, right? That's not the case anymore. So I really don't know. Frankly, I don't have much faith for either of them at the moment from what I've been seeing.
What about domestically? Do you think there's any case we made that Golden Guardians will be better than C9 domestically? Because like
they're
so.
1-1 in the regular season, right?
1-1 the regular season. They tied at the end. They played one more tiebreaker, and C9 won. But they won with their Kindred Melio Ashe comp, which we all know is busted.
Yeah.
And I think Golden Guardians were limit testing to be like, can we beat this bullshit? Oops, no, we can't.
I think so. Like I think that GG, how they play right now, a lot of it's focused around the top side of the map, and I do think the C9 is like, I think they're beatable. If it's more of a meta where it's like full bot focus, then I would very much. I think that's part of why C9 like continue to get the best of them, because playing through Berserker just ended up being really strong. But I really got to credit Stixay. I feel like he gets like very few resources and does a lot in fights later on. And like the way this guy's been team fighting with his team, I think has been really good, and it frees GG up to like make plays around their solos. It's been nice. So I think that GG almost fits the style that is being played right now in League, or like their style. I feel like is really strong with what the meta's at the moment. So
my only complaint for them is that Aphelios is not as prevalent, and Aphelios or Stixay was nasty at Aphelios, so like it sucks that that's not there. But it is true that bot lane feels pretty handshaky, where it's like, okay, you get Kaisa, I get Zaya, we swap. You know, do you want Rel? Do I get Rel? Do I get Rakan? You know, unless someone wants to throw a wrench in that gear, like. A lot of bot lanes end up being those matchups.
Yeah.
And then I think from that position, it does become a lot more about solo lanes and mid lane counter picks and flexes and exactly what you're doing with your junglers and stuff like that. And for the most part, the GG top side of the map I do favor.
Yeah.
Which includes, of course, mid lane for people. When we say top side, we mean the solo lanes and jungle. Yeah. And yeah, like I personally think Blabber's slightly better than River, but to be fair, that was the closest first to second team All-Pro voting disparity. It was like single-digit points. It was very close, and I do feel like that is reflective of where these two are at. They are very close together, and then I think Gory is better than Eminez, and I think Licorice is slightly better than Fudge, so if they have these weird picks and you're throwing down, like I feel pretty good about GG in that situation. Not that they're guaranteed to, but like this feels the closest it's been.
I agree. I still favor C9, but it's going to be closer this time around. I don't see Berserker's Sven losing in a best of 5 to Stixay Hui. I still think that like they're going to be able to overcome it. I really trust Sven too. I think really highly of this guy. And Hui is playing great. But I'm actually really excited to see that best of 5. I hope we get it selfishly, twice.
All right. Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of the opinion that Golden Guardians could perform better than C9 at in an international event because I tend to think that they are a little more stable. I don't know how to describe it. I just feel like they're less. Cubby's frowning. Is stable a bad word to use here?
No. I think they team fight better.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a vibes thing.
Yeah, I think that's why where I get the stable vibes from. I don't know what you think about that, Mark, or if that's bold saying GG team fights better.
I don't know.
It's hard.
Toss up.
Yeah, it's I think Berserker's better than Stixay, so a lot of their team fights look good because AD carries are really important in team fights. But I think sometimes the soul laners are kind of doing some whack shit. I feel like Golden Guardians engages are more unified when River, Gordy, and who he want to go in, and even Licorice. I think they team fight differently, or I don't know. They have different strengths in team fights. I think they're pretty close.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I have kind of it's not a rebuttal, but a comment to make in response to that. If
sure.
that's okay.
Yeah. Go for it.
I feel like when I think of Golden Guardians, how I kind of think of it is that they have a lot of players who are 8 or 9s out of 10s, or maybe if they're on, Gory's a 10 out of 10, River's a 10 out of 10, and then C9 is also 8 or 9s out of 10, or maybe 7 through 9s out of 10 depending on their performance on the day, and then Berserkers was a 15 out of 10, and that makes them a better team on a lot of days. But if Berserker gets behind or Blabber gets behind, it's harder for them to play the game because all of their lanes are not, at least at right now, don't look as strong. And I don't know, that's kind of when I think about it, how I think of Golden Guardians having more of a chance in a game where they get behind is their lanes will not be as behind. That's the casual fan take, I guess.
No, it's fair. It's fair. And I heard most of what you were saying, but I saw LS in chat say, I'm kind of the opinion that people should give some subs here right now. And then I went to Twitter where Ellis had just tweeted out a ridiculous LCK meme that's a minute and a half long, starring LCK people and Joe Marsh and all these people. And that's how I'm going to end this call. Thank you, Yami, for the call.
You didn't listen to our caller. Thanks, man. That's cool.
Anything? I heard most of what they said. Yami, what do you want to shout out?
I would like to shout out the Summoner School Discord server, which has great coaching. We just started kind of rebooted our mentor program, and I'd also like to shout out my Alienware monitor, which is really great. And I didn't I got before the summer, the Black Friday and summer or whatever thing, but did order because Travis reminded me Alienware existed. So
thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm sorry I got distracted by LS at the end of your call, but I do really appreciate the support, and it's always cool. I feel like you've shouted out Summoner School multiple times, right?
Yes, I'm a little bit biased because I'm a mod there, but I do think that it's a good service to the community too.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. All right, thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time. All right, thank you to somebody who heard LS and gifted 5 subs. Tameable Bread 93. Is LS still here? Did he just drop in, say that, and then leave? Honest Climb, thank you for the sub. Perchy99, thank you. Kanoke, thank you for the 40 months. Ixpix, he's gone. All right. The window is gone. It failed. Higamir, Said B, thank you all for the subs. We got T-Bone here. Oh, we got Ixpix gifting 20 subs in the chat. Thank you. One of them went to Stixay, hilariously enough, randomly. All right. T-Bone is here. T-Bone, what do you want to talk about on the show?
I have a really simple take. My take is that outside of maybe mid lane, FlyQuest should stick together next year.
FlyQuest should stick together maybe outside of mid lane. Why do you have this opinion?
I think that just because the roster did not click does not mean that they should give up on it. Spica, Vulcan are all are both some of the best players in their positions. I don't even know why I didn't even say impact there as well. They've all been top 1 in their position in the LCS in the past couple of years. And Prince was obviously one of the best AD carries to come out of Korea. I think that in spring he was pretty good. Even in summer when he like kind of fell off a little bit, that a lot of that is probably to do with the fact that he is laning with somebody who doesn't speak the same language as him. I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt for another year of this roster outside of Vikla, and even then, like I wouldn't be super upset if Fly kept Vikla for another year. But the only reason I single him out is even like when he's getting interviewed by people, I can't remember who interviewed him when he said it, but where he ranks himself as the worst mid laner in LCS. I think that's very problematic. I think that he was rookie of the year in Korea last year, but I think that it's kind of obvious that whether it be he's just not adjusting to American life that well, or if he's homesick, whatever it is, he's not performing well here. And I think that it makes sense for both parties for them to split up. And even then, like, hey, maybe FlyQuest changes out coaching and they do a boot camp in Korea and then Vikla regains his form. Wouldn't be super upset if they kept him, but at the end of the day, I think that he's the only one that probably should be changed out.
If these players are so good, why did they suck so much?
Well, I'm an idiot and I am hard stuck plat and I have no idea what I'm talking about, Travis.
No. I am asking you because I think you are correct in saying that these players are really good, but
what's your opinion on why it didn't work this time, and like what would be different the next time? Like,
exactly.
Why? It's like it's true that they all were good before. That's the logic that you would make when putting this roster together. But we just did that and it didn't work. So like, why would I do it again? Why would I repeat the experiment?
Because you give Prince more time to learn English, and then on top of that, we could even just look at the second best, arguably best team in the league right now with Golden Guardians. Licorice is, most people agree, the best top laner in the league right now, and a year ago he was one of the worst, and it's all due to confidence. I don't think it's really that hard to argue with people and say that the reason this team underperformed was a confidence issue. If you just keep losing, it's going to make you play worse. I mean, like, even look at Vulcan. He wasn't tweeting anymore. He just seemed generally sad and everything. And I think that mindset is a very big factor. So I think that was probably one of the major reasons, because even like individually, I don't think Spica, Impact, and Vikla and Prince all played terribly. It's just like I felt like they weren't on the same page. And I think that either a coaching shakeup or either just like swapping out a mid laner, because hey, I don't know if people saw the Reddit post earlier, but with LCK introducing a salary cap, there are a lot of big players that are going to be on the market, and I don't think it's that ridiculous to try to swap out Vikla.
Ah, boy.
Yeah, I literally decided to. It's such a tough. Here, I want. Let's go to Cubby first, because Mark and I can collect our thoughts on this, maybe. Cubby's still collecting his thoughts too.
I don't think. I can't see a world where like you run that back. I feel like when you do have players that are talented, and like we have seen those players be good, sometimes they just need to switch it up. It just didn't mesh. Like, also, it's a very expensive project, we're going to assume.
That's what I was going to ask the caller, is like, do you care about the macroeconomics of the League of Legends / esports ecosystem right now? Or are you just talking strictly on like a player level?
So I am talking on a player level, but when it comes to the macroeconomic, whatever term you want to use for it, isn't like FlyQuest's new owner like rich? Like, does he really care about spending?
I mean, a lot of these teams have owners that are rich.
Yeah, but like this guy's a different type of rich, right? Am I wrong? Isn't he just like has way too much money and just buys sports teams?
He is in this sense kind of a dime a dozen. In the like most LCS teams are backed by traditional sports money owners.
I would not say he's very different than, say, a Golden Guardians, etc. And Golden Guardians once had to sell their team because they didn't have money. So,
and I mean, like Team Liquid is backed by Axiomatic, which is it's like an investment group of a bunch of different multi-billionaire people. Like a lot of them.
Is Fly backed by an investment group? I thought it was just like a single owner, or is it an ownership group?
It's A guy bought it, but I'd have to look into the details.
I mean,
again to see
usually
if it's
people buy as
an
part of an investment group thing. It's complicated to say.
limited liability.
I do not believe FlyQuest is owned by a single individual. If that's your question.
Yeah.
Okay, so to go back to like, you know, whether I care, like I understand the argument of like, hey, this costed a lot of money and we did not make worlds, or we didn't even make playoffs. I understand that, but also like, I think the only person with an expiring contract is Vulcan. So like, I like what do you do with those contracts? Do you try
You
to
cut them?
Do you just like
So-
EG them?
Let me tell you about how teams have been treating import players for the past 5 years.
Oh my god, we don't need this again.
You bring them over, they don't
Boomerang,
get
boomerang.
you a win at Worlds, and then you fucking cut them and you replace them with new import players. It doesn't matter if they're under contract for multiple years.
Yeah, most of these have some termination clauses in there to get out early. Maybe I don't know the details of modern ones, but sometimes there's a termination
Teams
fee,
can
but it's
usually just
almost
drop
always cheaper than
completely
paying
fine.
out. But
Yeah.
yeah, most I think are just we can cut you at any time.
Almost no contracts are guaranteed.
Yeah. So the issue of the monetary one, which we've talked about before, is we don't think it's a good idea for the price point. I think if we ignore price point, it's still an interesting question. Because otherwise we're all just going to say the same thing we always say. So let's ignore price point. If you were GM of FlyQuest and these guys' salaries didn't matter, would you run it back again with maybe a mid lane substitution?
No.
No.
That's how little you guys believe in it.
They didn't give us any reason to believe in it in the summer. Really, there's none. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think okay, let's go back to the caller's point, right? Which was like, oh, it's about confidence, or like Licorice got a lot better, but like Licorice went through a ton of different team roster changes in the in between time. I think that there's a world where you keep maybe 3 of these players, like maybe you keep Prince and Impact and like Speaker or something. I mean, I don't feel like you keep Prince and Vulcan because that bot lane seemed not functional, and clearly based off how Ayla's doing at EG, it's not something that we should fault Vulcan for. Maybe it's not something you even fault Prince for. I don't know, but like
and they don't speak like the same language that fluently.
Prince
speaks
speaks
I know
English.
Prince's English is getting better, but still, like,
I mean,
don't
you can have a conversation with Prince and have never spoken to him in your life before, and have almost no, like, as long as like, yeah, there'll be times where he doesn't know exactly what you say, but there's no like concept struggle.
I don't think it's a language barrier in the bot lane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Prince saw me in my Zaya outfit, and
Yeah, I've heard
asked
the
for my
story. I
number.
watched
Yeah,
those
yeah,
videos.
yeah. Like he can speak English. He can make jokes. He's fine.
Okay, I thought that it was like, because I just remember the spring stuff and where he got caught up on a little bit of things, but also like I didn't know the level of fluency. I don't know him personally.
I mean, Chinese
obviously,
teams
so.
have won world championships where people are speaking different languages straight up. You know, like the
Mm-hmm.
language barrier is real and it adds a hurdle, but it's never like, oh, we would have been a first place team, but god damn it, his English just wasn't good enough, so we got 9th. You know, it's
But also
like,
on top of that, do you really rate Prince and Vulcan like as a bot lane duo that low? Because I thought they weren't that bad. Like, were they just like getting solo killed and I just didn't see their games or something? Or
It's so hard for me because like I remember Prince a year ago when he was on Live Sandbox, and I honestly consider Prince in that meta like one of the best marksmen in the world. This guy was world class, and I didn't see that this split, and we saw that. I feel like we only saw that for like one round robin in spring, and then it was just kind of like downhill.
they were getting solo killed, by the way. I mean,
Yeah.
you go back and
I
watch
just
some
like
of
I
their
could
games.
be mistaken. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like they were god fucking awful at inting every game, but like they weren't good. They weren't solo killing opponents. They were probably the 7th best bot lane in the league this split. There were a lot of good bot lanes, like you know, even Double Lift and Busio I put over them. I think the only people I wouldn't put over them is like, you know, fuck, even Immortals bot lane might be better. I would put like them over Dig, and yeah, maybe that's it by the end of the split. Tactical, my boy, popping off.
It was good this split. I just like also like behind the scenes, I mean, like even talking about like not tweeting, like for me, like that is a sign of like fun. I mean, it's hard to have fun like when you're losing, but like I just don't even see like any signs of like if you kept this together, like I feel like it would just be like almost reliving trauma for these guys. Because like when's like the last time like these guys like ever missed like playoffs? You know, like a lot of these players, right? Like why would you put them, even if you want to keep a few, in the same exact scenario as like a split that will go down as pretty much unanimously for a team of this caliber the worst split of their career?
Here's what
that for me is a big one.
Here's what I do. If I am FlyQuest, I go to Impact and say, we're going to build around you. Who are the 4 players you want? I feel like Impact, like especially from the interview I did with him, from talking to other players behind scenes, like I feel like he was a huge role in EG's success last year, and I don't even mean necessarily in the game or on the Rift, but I just feel like Impact is such a smart person, and from what I hear, he's just really great at like identifying players and talent and being a leader in a team. And so if you were like, and we mostly want we want 3 of our players to be relatively newer or lower budget players, like I think you can get a pretty good roster by literally just doing that.
If that's what you do, we'll say their challengers team was eliminated today. Masu is the single, like for me, he was my vote for most valuable prospect. He should 100% be an LCS player next split. I think the EU honestly can start there. I really think that highway of Masu.
Yeah,
Happy Faces says, I think you should build around Impact and Prince. If Impact wants Prince, I keep Prince. You know, it's up to Impact to decide.
Travis, I have a question for you in regards to like letting Impact build the roster. Do you think there's a world if like EG sells and like JoJo's contract is on the market? Do you think there's a possibility, like if that? I know this is like speaking like months and months out. Like, do you think there'd be a possibility of Fly, Impact, Inspired, JoJo, import AD Carry and Vulcan to run back that EG roster? Do you think that's something he might be interested in, or do you have
I don't know.
idea?
Sure, maybe. Why not? I don't know Impact's mind on this stuff, right? Like, I don't know his opinion on all 4 of those players, or all 3 of those players you mentioned. But like, I guess maybe you're creating a very, very theoretical scenario.
Yeah, I know it's like, you know,
if JoJo falls into your fucking lap, do you take him? Like, sure, probably, but it's not going to happen. I think I like Travis's idea of keeping Impact, asking what he wants. I like Cubby's idea of taking what your best things are. I think the future for a lot of LCS teams are eat local, think global. You know.
What is that phrase, Mark? Where did you get that?
Anywhere with. I don't know where I got it from. Just like being a good person. Isn't that what the healthy eaters are? They're good people. If you eat good, you're a good person.
Oh, it's eat local, think global. Is that what it is?
Eat local, think global.
Local, think global.
No, eat local. So eat your young pro players, and then think about how you're going to win worlds. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks for that, Mark. Caller, anything that you want to say here at the end?
Nah, I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. We'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
All right. Off Mark goes to get the next caller. We got 2 more callers left. So yeah, Commander Masters. It's so good. I think as a set, it's just very expensive is the problem. And but yeah, Cubby, I'm trying to figure out a way to do it. It's probably going to be somewhere between probably like $40 and $55 depending on boxes and pricing. It's just the boxes are expensive. So
okay.
But
I'll keep you posted. It sounds fun.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, caller's here. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm MagiMik, and I'm calling from Jersey City, New Jersey.
Hey, you gonna go to finals?
Ooh. Oh yeah, I actually got my 2-day ticket. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to meet either of you. I had a bunch of players and LCS personalities sign my League of Legends shirt, which was awesome when I went to North Carolina. So hope to see you guys there.
Maybe. Nice. I'm elusive. I'm hard to pin down.
Mark is hard to catch. No. We probably aren't doing Live Hotline League because of budget issues, but I am going to try to do some sort of meetup at a collectible card shop where we will play a game. Anyway.
Awesome.
That would probably be Friday night. Anyway, what do you want to talk about on the show?
Okay, yeah, so my take was that Contractz is a top 3 jungler in the league and is actually coming into form as the lost child that was promised from C9 long ago.
Interesting. All right. You want to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, I'll elaborate more. I mean, for the past, ever since he's came back in the league, since his EG Challengers days, ever since his stint on GG and being lost in the Shadow Realm, he's gradually become better, more reliable, and I feel like the last split and this split, even the end of last summer, I even thought then he was top 3 jungler, and the last split, even a lot of, well, not a lot of players, but I feel like Blabber, for one, always speaks highly not only of NRG but mostly of him. I feel like one interview I remember, everyone's always asking Blabber, what's up with NRG beating you? He's like, Contractz is too good, or something like that. I believe I heard in something recently, Contractz was saying how River referred to him as, you are top 3 jungler now as well. Like a lot of upper tier junglers in the league seem to speak highly of him, and I feel he plays to the level, if not higher, than the competition of like higher LCS junglers.
Yeah, somebody in chat, who was it? Nihilist Gamer said Kobe had Contractz 3rd All-Pro in his vote.
Defendable. I think it's very defendable. I think him and Palafox were 1-2 on that team for breaking into All-Pro. Kobe, you're going to say something? Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to reference that, I actually watched the broadcast and I saw, the snubs that you guys had, and it was unanimous Contractz being snubbed. So, I mean, I think it's a good shout. Contractz for sure is someone that, has highs and lows, but I think overall, like when you're a mid-tier team, I think you kind of want players like that. And for the last couple of splits, it has felt like Contractz has performed well when it has counted. And it's definitely a player that enables them to beat teams that are usually higher than them in the standings, and I think it's really important to the success of that team. So I've always been a fan of Contractz. I really think he's part of NRG's success, and appreciate someone's giving him a top 3 nod.
I will disagree that he has become the prince who was promised, but I'm going to disagree in an interesting way.
Okay.
He was promised to be an insano carry jungler. He was like playing Ezreal jungle at Worlds. He was popping off. He was like Rengar and like the crazy mastermind. And then he struggled a lot more, went through his arc, like you said. But now he has emerged much more as a playmaker than a carry. Like, he does not really play Kindred. He plays Ivern. He plays Poppy. He plays Sejuani. And he's fucking incredible at them. He is not slamming Nocturne down or, these other carry junglers. So I think he has gone a different arc than what was promised, but or a different path, but the same arc. Like, he's not the carry guy, but he has had this incredible redemption and is legitimately one of the best junglers in the LCS.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only technical carry he used now is Poppy. I mean, this Poppy game in the TL series was honestly game winning, but yeah, you make a pretty valid point.
His Trundle
in other ways.
Yeah, carry by setting his team up and like having good engages and stuff. Carrying can mean different things, but when I say he's the carry, I mean he's playing the champions that deal damage, and that's not really the case anymore.
I know that from talking with past people that have worked with Contractz, especially like when he was subbing into that EG roster with Shizuke, part of the reason, like, they really credited how well Contractz sees the game. And yeah, I think like what Mark's talking about, like, he is the one that dictates a lot of the fights, and I think for the most part, is really good for NRG. So yeah, I agree.
I really like Contractz. I really like that. I really like the NRG roster. It's funny. I was trying to think of when I released a video today that's like a primer for people who have been watching LCS on all the storylines. I was trying to think of something other than the fact that they beat good teams, lose to bad teams thing for them. Couldn't think of too much, but I still kind of struggle a little bit, but I just still like the team a lot, and I feel like they continue to be a roster where the players feel like they're greater than the sum of their parts, if that makes sense. And I feel like a huge part of that is Contractz, where he's just a really good player, but he like plugs in really well to that group. And I think a little bit, because I was also doing a surprise test where it's like, name all these teams that the players have been a part of or whatever. And Contractz has been a part of so many teams, and I really feel like he's found his home and a spot with this lineup, and sort of the lineup before as well. I feel like the Palafox Dokla thing just works out really well for him. So I don't know. I like it. I hope he sticks on Energy, even if they do make 1 or 2 roster changes. We'll see. But yeah, I really like where he's at in the league right now.
Does anyone think that they're going to beat Golden Guardians this weekend off the back of Contractz and Palafaker, who gapped the shit out of APA on both sides of the Triss Jace matchup?
Yeah, 100%.
Cubby, you buy in? You buy in what these callers selling? It's 3-1 NRG?
No, GG wins 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
Why do you sound shocked, caller?
Well, no, I'd say more 5 games. If anything, I wouldn't put. I'd say just Energy has it. They also have a very chaotic style, which may throw off GG a tiny bit in like the mid game. So I feel they're pretty even across like a lot of. Well, they're even where it matters, like in the mid lane and jungle. So I'm more confident in like 5 games if it were to go GG's side, but 5 games regardless.
Energy finished 5th. Golden Guardians almost finished 1st.
They're so fucked. So Energy in the regular season is 2-0 against them and 2-0 against C9. So obviously they have the firepower to do it. I was talking with Zale about it on the dive a bit today, about how like I think the thing that I want to see Energy do is to like really beat a really good team. I feel like Team Liquid is like on the fringe of that, so maybe they deserve it. But that was their first upper bracket win in playoffs. In they only won 1 other best of 5 with this like kind of core of Dokla, Palafox, and Contractz, and that was against Golden Guardians as an 8th seed back in summer, and then they lost to Team Liquid in the next round in 5 games. And like I feel like, to Travis's point about they're stronger than the sum of their parts, and like they're an easy team to root for. It's like I feel like they're missing their breakout series, and even though they just beat TL, I don't know if that gets them that. Like they need to qualify for Worlds. They need to like get a little bit further in some of these playoff brackets to really get that kind of respect. And I hope they do it, but it's tough.
I do want to shout out that I think Energy, what did they take? 7th last split? Was that it, Mark?
No, they were 4th. There was a 3-way. There was that big tie.
Yeah. So they made playoffs, but like then they bottomed out of playoffs, right?
Yeah, they lost to EG 3-0, and then EG blew up their roster.
Yeah, and I think that like there was some discussion of like, hey, like did Energy max out? Like, is that like the most they can get out of that roster? And yeah, they ended up like swapping the bot lane. But personally, I actually would have swapped like one of the solo lanes. But props to them. Like I think the meta swap's been really good for FBI and Ignar. But this is definitely a roster where now like we aren't sitting here being like, all right, have they maxed out, right? And I very much agree with you where it's like we need to see that breakout series, because it feels like the breakout series is losing 2-3 to C9 still last summer, which is not a win. So yeah, I very much agree with you there, Mark.
All right.
Yeah, I hope they do it. I hope the Ignar and FBI change helps get them over the hump, because they're a group that's really easy to root for, and they have that underdog chip on our shoulder mentality. When are we going to get the respect that we deserve kind of thing? And like all of them are like that borderline all pro, but I don't know. They need that thing that really moves the needle. Yeah. I don't think they've had it yet.
Caller, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go on to our last call of the evening?
Shout out Hotline League and you guys, Alienware, and the LCS broadcast has been great. And NACL has been great also. Cubby, you guys are awesome. And yeah, that's it. Have a great night.
Thanks so much for the call. We'll catch you next time.
Yep.
All right. We are off to our last caller of the evening. Thank you to Perchy99, Kanoke for 40 months. We got Ixbix with that 20 earlier. Thank you. Ranger Danger, Jammin' TST for 18. Sherman for 48 months. That's a long time. 4 years. And then Drizzle Whizzle, thank you for the tier 1. Mark is back with Mikey calling from somewhere in Utah. Where are you calling from in Utah, Mikey?
The middle of nowhere, soon to be the middle of somewhere.
Middle of nowhere, soon to be the middle of somewhere. You keep saying that, and yet every time you call in, it's still the middle of nowhere. I'm not sure I believe you. What do you want to talk about on the show?
This is a reminder that Team Liquid failing to make Worlds would be a disaster for the roster. They now need to win an upset to make it to Worlds, which wasn't the case before losing to Energy. And as a huge Pioshik fan, I'm really worried that I'm never going to get to see him in real life.
So this weekend, TL and 100T are playing against each other. One of these teams will not make it to Worlds. They will not advance. When you say they have to upset, you mean because they'll have to take somebody that gets shot down from the upper bracket?
Yeah, I believe between EG and Golden Guardians.
Are you going to go to LCS finals? Why do you mean you won't be able to see him in real life?
Well, if Team Liquid fails, then the roster probably gets blown up and Pioshik goes back to Korea, and I never get a chance to see him.
That's really confusing to me. I don't understand why would a team bring a player over here just to send them back if the roster does not make it to Worlds?
I don't know. Maybe you should make a video about it.
Yeah, that's
I'd probably watch that video.
Maybe I will. Okay, so do you want to talk about why it would be such a failure? Because you said it would be a failure.
The roster was marketed for sure as like a basically lock for Worlds, kind of aiming for the title. I think people have kind of forgotten that with the big underperformance in spring and the hairy swap to APA in the mid lane. That kind of like covered it up a little bit. But they should be capable of making Worlds at least.
Yeah. How big of a failure, Mark and Cubby, do you think it is if they don't make Worlds? Is it complete disaster, or was this roster a bit of a gamble? Mark, are you typing out your invoice right now? Is that what's happening?
I already sent you that, bro. Where have you been?
I mean, it's not in my email. Who did you send it to?
Travis at State of the League.
Well, I guess I'll check
.com, and the title is this right? I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know why that would get caught by the spam filter.
Well, it shouldn't, and then there's no body and just an attachment.
Yeah, it did get caught by the spam filter.
So it's not my fucking problem.
This message seems dangerous. Similar messages were used to steal people's personal information. Avoid clicking links, downloading attachments, or replying with personal information. Sorry, Mark, can't pay you.
Yeah, sorry, I was replying to someone else on Twitter. Cubby, you take it.
So you weren't listening to our caller at all?
No, I was, but I just want to hear Cubby's thoughts first for some reason.
Yeah,
that's fine. I gotta get food from the door here in a minute, too. So
yeah, perfect.
It is a disappointment. I don't know if it's like a massive disappointment after like what we saw in spring. I think that the caliber of some of the players, yeah, for sure. Like Summit and Pioshik are players that we've seen compete like at that level and could be there. But like they're trying to play around with like subbing in APA. APA, I mean, he griefed the first series. I say that lovingly because I like APA, but he ran it down, which was tough to watch. And I think now for TL, it's just like I never really like my expectation for playoffs was that C9 and GG were going to go to Worlds, and then we were going to have two other teams that I thought would be EG most likely, and then probably honestly a coin flip with the TL and NRG. So like I think given the caliber of the roster, it is a disappointment, but like realistically, like for me as someone that has watched all the games this split, like it's again, I was like, all right, maybe like 40% chance, 50% chance they make it. I don't find that a huge disappointment.
Yeah, I think as much as Team Liquid will consider it a huge disappointment, I don't feel like when they announced this roster that it was like a shoe-in for Worlds. I felt it was. I guess I need to go back and like look at how teams were ranked back then, but like I don't know.
Most people had them fourth in spring, like around that area, with the idea that it was a summer roster that should get better. I think a team with two world champions on it, Summit, who is an MVP, and two rookies who are relatively highly touted. I think there were differing opinions on them, but they had dominated the Academy in NACL together, I think people had expectations that this would be a Worlds contending roster and likely to go. And I don't think that you would spend to bring Pioshik over and Summit back over if you didn't intend to see international competition.
Yeah, I get. I mean, no, okay. What I agree that TL intended to see international competition. I just don't. I mean, when we had FlyQuest, Cloud9, and EG in spring, I think a lot of people felt like those were probably our 3 teams, and then it's like you know what? I bet we could go back and find, because I vaguely recall a call at the beginning of the year where we were like, oh yeah, who would Team Liquid steal a spot from? Like, they have to steal a spot from one of these 3 teams or something. This was obviously before.
Well, I also felt like
Golden Guardians.
I had FlyQuest, C9, and like 100, but like outside those 2, it was pretty open. People did not think Golden Guardians were going to be good. People did not think that, like, people have different opinions on 100 Thieves and EG. I think EG was one of the other ones that people expected to be good, and they weren't in spring. Right? Yeah.
I think it's right.
So, yeah, because they still had a lot of the other supposedly good players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it felt like they would have to take one. I think that's right. There was EG, C9, and FlyQuest that people were expecting to go 1, 2, 3, and then they would have to steal one of those ones. So I remember being pretty optimistic for this team, and I would say that they've done worse than I would have hoped for. So even for me, who was someone who wanted to believe in this team, getting 8th in spring and doing poorly, I don't know, in their first playoff series is a little disappointing. I mean,
they definitely underperformed expectations, but I think, if I recall, I was like not big on them. I kind of put them probably middle of the pack, because I thought those 3 teams that we were talking about, and then I looked at it and I was like, Summit got ejected. He got MVP, but he got ejected right afterwards. And Pioshik,
yeah, but I mean, the other thing that was going on during that time period is that there were scrim rumors that this team was fucking amazing, which have persisted all year. But that was the first inkling, was like right around these first power rankings were being made, that TL was stomping everyone in scrims and they were really good and blah blah blah. So that definitely, I think, colored some people's lenses at the time. I remember I put them 4th and said that they were going to be a summer split team, and I believed in them or something. Maybe I put them 5th. I don't remember. But it was like top half of the league even in spring. So I think this team can still maybe make Worlds, but it's really dicey if APA does not like massively step up. He feels like a clear weakness, because they're like, if you look at their road, right? Like, I think they can easily win this weekend against 100 Thieves, because I don't think Quid can like abuse him the same way. And unless Closer gets back to form, I don't think they will have enough early game action to disrupt the side lanes, which should be TL favored. So they feel like they can get through there easy. The question is, when NRG or EG or C9 or GG drop down to face them, can they beat any of those actually good teams? I like APA needs to play way better, because all those teams have very good mid laners.
Yeah.
All 4 of those teams in winners bracket have, I think, the 4 best mid laners in the league.
Do you consider subbing Harry back in?
Oh boy, that is a question right there. I'm someone who is not a huge Harry hater, and I think while APA in the regular season appeared to be better in the areas where Harry was weak, which is namely like team fighting, I don't know if that will hold true in playoffs when people focus his champion pool more. So he was on Jace and he was on Tristana, and usually his Tristana is good, but he got abused in lane phase a little bit, and then his team fighting was not like great. So if he's not going to bring any of the strengths that were Harry's weaknesses, I don't know why you would keep playing.
Didn't he just get eliminated from NACL as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Harry is. I don't think he's like this like insano prospect you should definitely bring back in. But if APA is struggling versus Quid in this series, I would start APA for this series. I would see how he's looking versus Quid, who is not a super high pressure mid laner. It feels like for the most part. See how he's doing, and if it doesn't look good, even if I win that series, my next series is against a better mid laner, and I might need just even the laning power to make it competitive.
I I mean, if TL wins, I think like they face EG or C9. No, like that's just like can you win a series with APA against those two teams? I hope so. Like I really hope that it's like just a one-off thing for APA. Like just like a miracle. Like hey, it's his first playoff series. Like he put a lot of weight on himself and just like
nerves,
played terribly.
jitters. Was that his first time on stage, or did he do stage games in NACL?
He didn't do stage games in NACL, but I mean he had the LCS games, right?
Right, but I meant first stage series,
He played best of fives with TL, and he had been there before, like with Maryville, on that stage. But obviously, it's LCS playoffs; it's different. I'm hoping that was just kind of a one-off. But I do think that like drafts play out really differently for this team when you have APA in versus Harry, and I do think it's worth considering. Like I think there is a world where you could run both. I know we haven't seen a successful team do that since like the Swole Bros and C9. But like they do legitimately bring different things. And I think that one of the strengths of APA is that APA is someone that is really vocal in games. Like with TLC, he's oftentimes making calls like macroing the map. And yeah, the whole team like does speak like the language. There is a language barrier within this team. Like, I know we were talking earlier about Prince and he's pretty fluid with English. There is a legitimate language barrier like within this team. I think it's harder for APA to have the same impact on how their team plays map versus like how the impact he was able to have on TLC, where they were the team that we considered played map the best throughout the regular season when APA was a part of it. So like in that case, it nerfs like another one of the things that I actually rate APA very highly with, because I think that as a rookie, he actually does have a really good understanding of how to play the game. And I was frankly, I know that Harry like was struggling, but I was kind of surprised that like they stuck with APA this entire time, because for me, I don't think APA is quite ready. I think that he was the best laner that we had in Challengers League, and then Harry came down, and his laning stats like looked like Wilt Chamberlain stats. Like he was averaging over 1,000 gold diff. Like he really gapped all of our mid laners. So APA is not as good of a laner as Harry, and I feel like that's where TL wins the game, because I don't think like as Mark said, APA is, it's not like he's magically saving the game in these team fights. Like he has some good moments on Nico and Cassio, I remember, during the regular season for team fights, but in playoffs, like we haven't seen that. So, and I think if they're gonna play Jace, Harry's Tristan and legitimately got better, and Harry's a much better Jace player than APA. APA was pretty much spamming Jace in solo queue and was like, all right, like I can play this on stage now, which I think is crazy to like ask a rookie in his first playoff series to debut a champ that he has not played all split and in his entire career on stage. I think that's a huge ask out of APA. I was really surprised that TL went that route with how they're playing the game.
I also think it's unlikely that Ziggs remains meta for too many more patches, or remains good. He's not meta, but he's a good champion right now. And
they're just gonna ban him.
Really good at him.
Yeah, like they'll just ban it.
Yeah, he won't get Ziggs the whole rest of the playoffs unless something has catastrophically gone wrong in other places. People are saying crazy overreactions off one playoff series. It's like, well, you only have one more to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not really an overreaction.
You also don't have a ton of data around APA in general with the team, right? Like, it's
no one's saying he should like burn in hell and never play in the LCS again. We're just saying that like from TL's perspective of trying to make worlds, you might have a better option depending on how the next series goes. We're all saying give him one more series, but if he doesn't look better, then like you might have something else in your back pocket to play.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't want to be coming on here being like, get rid of APA. Harry was so much better, but Harry was also bad. I don't know. Like, I believe in both mid laners. Whoever Team Liquid decides to run with, I'll be cheering for them the whole way. I love them both. They're great.
Yeah.
Like,
well, thank you, Michael, for the call. Anything that you want to shout out before we say goodbye?
Yeah. Shout out as always to Energy Demonte. Join his Discord. You're not sponsored by Grubhub anymore, right?
I am not.
Okay, shout out DoorDash. They've been giving me a bit of extra cash working dashes to help prepare for my big move. And shout out Dokla. He only has 100 or so viewers right now, and he's a really entertaining streamer. So y'all should head over there when Travis is done streaming.
When I'm done streaming, not done with the show.
Yes, when you're done streaming.
We should all head over there right now. No.
Michael, thank you for the call. Anything that you want to shout out? Or wait, you already shouted out. Goodbye, Michael.
Yes.
We'll catch you next time.
Goodbye. See you later.
Late. I'm getting tired. All right. Mark, what do you want to shout out?
Shout out BG3, which comes out this week. I can't wait.
Baldur's
Shut
Gate
that
3,
out.
he means.
Baldur's Gate 3, we're going to have sex with bears. Let's go.
All right. Cubby, what do you want to shout out?
We have 2 more broadcast days of Challengers League. So EGC versus Cincinnati Fear tomorrow at 1 p.m. on LCS_Challengers. Evil Geniuses took down our 2 LCS affiliates in the top 2 seeds the last couple of days here this weekend, and are trying to book their ticket to face Disguised, who will be in the Riot Games arena for the finals on August 9th. So if you come, say hey. Just come say you came from Hotline League. Tickets are $10. You can actually buy them. And besides that, thanks for having me again, guys. This was fun. Yeah.
All right. For me, I want to shout out. I have a bunch of content hitting the YouTube channel. I had a surprise test that came out today. I had a playoffs catch-up video, which people are really liking. It's very much outperforming what I expected it to. I have behind the membership wall, and it'll eventually go live. I have currently a River interview, a JoJo interview, a long video that I made about why I think trying to win so hard has been an issue for the LCS. And then I also have a video talking about my obsession with a game that I'm not allowed to talk about on this show. So please go check that out. You can become a member of the YouTube channel for just $2.99. I said it really cheap because I just love it as the fuck the algorithm solution, where I don't have to worry about, oh, I'm only releasing 1 or 2 videos a day, or I have to release them in the morning. It's just the moment I've uploaded them to the channel, you get to look behind the scenes and see them. So that's pretty cool. Next week, I will be in Tacoma at an event called MXP Tacoma. If you are interested, please come out and see me. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Washington. Please come and hang out with me, and maybe we can play something that I'm not allowed to talk about on the show. Finally, if you live in Newark or near Newark in the city, I was trying to find a shop in that area where I can go play something. I can host a meetup on Friday night before LCS Finals weekend, where, again, people can play something that I'm not allowed to talk about in the show. Thank you so much to Cubby for coming on the show for 4 weeks in a row. It's actually crazy.
Surely it won't be a 5th, Clueless. Surely.
Yeah. Well, I tried a lot of other people, but Cubby's dependable, and he says yes every time, so it just works. But I do really appreciate you coming on the show, Cubby.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's always fun joining you guys. So I really like hearing Culver's takes too. It's always fun to kind of see where people's heads are at.
Yeah.
Because we all of us, we all talk behind the scenes and like what's going on and stuff. But it's kind of interesting to hear what others think or what they pick up from what they see. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the good news is we're gonna have some players lose their LCS spots over the course of this weekend, and maybe they'll be available next week. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thanks everybody. This has been the show. Thanks, Mark, for doing this after 10 hours. Now you're 12 hours. Bye, all. We'll see you next week.
See it.